Welcome to Super Woo Radio, where we are awakening into being free and sovereign. It's a place where minds hurt and hearts sing as we break through the barriers that have been holding us back. Be prepared to have belief systems confronted as we take the journey of the truth seeker for answers to life's biggest questions. Remember, truth is stranger than fiction, so come along for an awareness expanding experience with George and his amazing guest. Here on Super Woo Radio.
Hello and welcome, magnificent Earth humans and all you other wonderful beings throughout the universe, listening to our multidimensional broadcast here on Super Woo Radio, episode number 31. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all who have supported Super Woo Radio over the years. And a special mention goes to those of you that have purchased the MP3. For those who have not, please consider as you get to choose the amount for a fair exchange, because with your support, Super Woo Radio can continue to bring to you knowledge and wisdom in a unique way that is at times breaking new frontiers, even in the alternative media. Welcome to the second episode of a two-part series on F.r.e.e., the foundation into research for extraterrestrial encounters, and its co-founder, Rey Hernandez. We now return where we left off in episode 30 as we continue one of the most intriguing conversations you are ever likely to hear. And I'll say a life that's full of intrigue and mystery is just fantastic. Loving it.
Let me tell you another one dealing with physics. Okay, this was I forgot exactly the relationship. It was after this Argentinian guy. Okay. By the way, I asked him. I said, "Well, what do you really want to do with your life?" He goes, healing. I really would want to do that. Mm. And it says, well, do you go to the internet about, ETs and all that stuff? He goes, never, Yeah. I'm not into that stuff at all, Yeah. I'm into NASCAR, Yeah. So this guy never reads about this stuff. There's not one of those books in his house, He's not into metaphysics. I just asked him out of the blue, what do you want to do? He says, healing, healing people. I said, well, do you want to go back into that? He says, oh, no. I'll never go back to that state where I'm losing my mind, but it's deep down inside that's what I would like to do,
Yeah. Oh, it'll come because, we are really we're solely responsible for the lives without what we're having, and we're co-creating this reality together. Mm-hmm. We really are. And it's in our journey for these qualities and these characteristics to come out when the time is right on this planet. We will enact our inherent vocations on a universal scale, and we are truly going to become very empowered beings, and we're going to be able to achieve amazing things.
Yep, most definitely. I know it. I know it.
Mm.
Let me go on with these stories.
Please do.
Um, in November of 2013, I got what I call an intuitive itch. And let me tell you what this intuitive itch was. Okay. Back in late May, right before I had that physics download, I had gone to my first ever UFO conference. It was in the city called Sebring, Florida, which is about 4 hours away. And my wife went with me. Um, and that was my first and only UFO conference. Okay,
Yeah.
and there I met this fellow, Grant Cameron, and he's written a lot of books about the presidential libraries, what they contain about UFOs.
Okay.
And so he heard in an experiencer's workshop, um, my wife and I talk about the healing that took place with our dog. At that time, he on the side after it finished, he told me about someone that he was working with. His name is Chris Bledsoe. He's a contactee, and he was healed of Crohn's disease in one visit.
I'm
Okay,
trying to remember
and
what Crohn's disease is. What?
it's
What?
of inflammation of your intestines,
Ah, okay. Yep.
where it's gets to the point where he was in bed the whole time. He was disabled,
Yeah.
very debilitated, and he and five other men saw a series of entities, and he was gone for about 5 or 6 hours,
Wow.
missing time.
Mm.
And when he came back for like a couple of days, he forgot to take his pill,
Yeah.
and then until he realized, my God, I don't feel any pain. What's going on? So he went to the doctor. The doctor did, X-rays and things like that, and said, "What the hell did you do to yourself? You're
Yeah.
totally cured."
Wow.
And so anyway, I spoke with this guy via email one time because Grant gave me his email. And so we chatted, back and forth like 2 or 3 times. This was back in June or late May of 2013, last year. So anyway, we're jumping now to the middle of November. This
Mm.
is what, 5 months later, right?
Mm.
I'd never spoken with this guy since 5 months. He was out of my mind. Okay. It was just a very nice, phone call. And he lives in North Carolina, which is 8 hours driving distance from where I'm at.
Mm.
Okay.
Wow.
All of a sudden, on a Sunday night, I got this, what I call intuitive itch to go see this guy. Okay. Don't tell me why. Okay. I had no idea why.
Mm.
By Monday, I was like, it's like I had poison ivy all over me. It was like I was going crazy. I gotta go see him. 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 And here I was. I was on furlough from the federal government. The federal government was closed for 3 weeks. We were not paid for 3 weeks.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah. Remember that? Okay. That was that
Mm.
time period. Okay.
Mm.
I was not paid. Okay. There was no money in the house. Okay.
Mm.
So here I was. I tell my wife, I'm going to go to my friend's house. I'm going to borrow $300. I'm going to see this guy in North Carolina who lives 8 hours away. And I have the freakingest clue. Why the hell am I going to go see him? Okay. And on top of that, I'm going to buy him football tickets to a Miami Hurricane football game. Okay. And, and so she thought I was nuts. Okay. And, 2 days later, Wednesday morning, I was driving up there to see this guy.
Oh, wow.
Okay. The day before Tuesday, I called him up. I said, Chris, this might sound crazy, but I need to see you. He goes, you need to see me? Why do you need to see me? I said, I don't know. Now, he didn't pursue it because contactees know about these things.
Yeah.
So he wasn't badgering or anything. He just said, look, Ray, I got a full house here. There's no place for you to stay. And I said, don't worry. I found a cheap motel somewhere for $50 a night, and I plan just to stay 2 nights. Anyway, 8 hours driving up there.
Wow.
I don't know why I was going up there. Okay. Now I know. Okay. Back then I found out. Okay. Chris had been getting physics downloads
Oh, again, the same.
for years,
Oh,
except Chris is a country boy. Okay.
wow.
He's, doesn't have the math, doesn't have the physics knowledge. Okay. But the whole time I was up there, he was being hounded by all the black ops.
Wow.
Okay. He would like whisper, CIA, CIA, you know? All these people were calling him all the time. He had been getting visitors all the time, unannounced. Okay. And he was scared, and his wife was scared. Okay. Why? Because they were semi-threatening him. Are you a patriot? Do you believe in the U.S. Constitution?
Be good if the
It
government
was
did, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be good if your government believed in the U.S. Constitution? Wouldn't that be fantastic?
I'm telling, I'm telling you. So here I was in the middle of all this stuff, right? I was listening in because he would tell me, and then he would tell me that that they're after all of his physics downloads, and he can't properly remember them or convey to them, And he told me something that my friend told me exactly verbatim, okay, which I've never heard since then. He says, Ray, in both our physical reality and in the spiritual reality,
Yes.
there are only two fundamental laws, okay? Good and evil, okay?
Yeah, negative charge and a positive charge. That's what
Yeah,
we call them. Yep.
yeah. Now, my friend, the physicist guy,
Yeah.
he sees it much more complicated
Yep.
than that.
It is. Yeah.
He sees it in terms of entropy
Yep.
and negative entropy,
Yep.
okay, which are physics
Forward
terms.
momentum and resistance. There's so many different ways you can actually describe it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he says a nice and easy way for you to remember it is good and evil.
Yes. Yes.
So that
because it's a universe of contrasting expressions.
Okay. So anyway, when Chris told me that, it was like bingo. All the lights were ringing.
Yep.
Shit, that's why I'm here. Chris is confirming in the same verbiage that my friend had said, the universal laws. Okay. And after I came home, I was like even more reassured.
And another wordage for universal laws, what you're describing as universal laws, just for the listeners, another way of expressing that is parameters of functionality. So when we can use more well-rounded descriptives, because when people think universal laws, they think judge and adjudicator, a hammer, vengeance, judgment. So when you actually understand it as parameters of functionality, then it allows the program that's in the human psyche not to be triggered as much. Whereas if you go law, then that word law, God's law, and all that sort of business, it triggers too much resistance and people switch off. So for people to better understand where it is we're coming from when we talk about, there are more well-rounded descriptives that we can be using.
Yeah. And so let me continue a little bit with Chris later on, okay? Now we're jumping almost a year later, okay?
Yeah.
Here I was in Mexico because my wife is Mexican. We were on vacation. She was seeing her family. And this was New Year's Day, 2014, okay? I get an email from Grant Cameron, who is this, very well-known researcher.
Yeah.
He says, Ray, Chris just got a new download. Okay. And he forwarded to me. He got a download on the 29th of December. And what it was that Chris sent him a page and a half stating basically that gravity does not exist. Okay. So he says, Ray, can you do me a favor? Can you get your physics crew to analyze what he's got, right? So I sent it to our 4 physicists, including my friend here, Mr. Physics, Mr. X here. Okay. All of them responded unanimously. And what it was that Ray, the first 3/4 of Chris's write-up was excellent and on the money. Okay. That in fact, gravity does not exist. Okay. Where he screwed up was the last portion of it, where he used physics terminologies like acceleration, deceleration, et cetera, et cetera. And for physicists, those terms mean something very, very specific.
Okay.
And so what it did is, like, as a physicist reading it, it was very confusing because he had intermixed the different terminology.
Terminologies, yeah.
But
Yep.
yeah, but for the first 3/4 of it, they said it was exactly on the money. And so what had happened was that before I had sent it to these 4 individuals, I responded to Grant and I said, "Okay, Grant, I'm going to send it off to these folks. But I just want to tell you a story about what my friend Mr. X had told me a long time ago. One time when I met him in person, I said, Mr. X, I've got 2 things that are stapled in my forehead.
Mm.
Okay. One of them is quantum loop theory,
Mm-hmm.
and the second is graphite nanotechnology. And they're like stapled on my head,
Wow.
and I can't get them off. Okay.
Wow. Wow.
So I want you to explain to me what the hell are those 2 things
Yeah.
and why it's stapled on my head. And he says quantum loop theory is one of the attempts at unification theory.
Mm-hmm.
And what I use from that theory is that gravity, in fact, does not exist. Okay, they're one of the few physicists that take that position, and they actually are correct. Gravity does not exist. Where they screw up is, and he went on to all these details of where they screwed up on, which I did not understand. It went way over my head. So I sent that story. And graphite nanotechnology.
Mm.
He says that's going to be the technology that we're going to be using within the next 10 years for our advanced energy applications.
Wow. So when it comes back, the question I've got when it comes to gravity, what is keeping us bound to the Earth?
Well, what I can do is I can send you a little discussion that they had,
Okay.
independent of this one with Chris Bledsoe. It's a separate discussion on gravity.
Sure.
I
My
can send to you.
understanding of what gravity is the
I,
law of
I,
attraction. It's the law of attraction and co-created agreements. So it's the intentive force of one's manifested reality, co-creative reality, and the intention of experience within those manifested realities. So that and its relationship. So your relationship with this planet, the being who is this planet, that is what's keeping you bound here. And now whether
okay.
people want to call that gravity or not, that's up to them. But that's the force. That's the intentive template behind the manifestation of physical reality, what we call the manifested reality, and it's in form. Behind the manifestation of form is the intentive templates. So those intentive templates are what actually keep us bound here, because they adjudicate what actually gets manifested into form.
Okay. Now, what he was referring to, remember, he has 2 specific domains that he's going to be working on.
Mm.
Um, One is the actual physics of
Mm.
our physical reality,
Mm.
and those are numbers and math.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
and then there's another physics of the multidimensional reality.
Yeah,
Okay,
and that's where I'm
and that's
coming
where
from.
Exactly.
Mm.
So
Mm.
what he was referring to specifically by gravity, he was talking about the numbers, the equations,
Okay. Okay.
the what we know as physics,
Okay.
and he always articulates that, that there's a
Yeah.
differentiation here,
Yeah.
So anyway, and so I sent that write up to Grant. Um, and so just to give him a heads up, one of the at least one of the members of our crew, totally accepts that. I don't know about the other members, because we never had that discussion before.
Sure.
So anyway, the feedback I got now from Rudy, from Edgar, and from Ralph,
Yes. Yes.
was that that Chris was in agreement with their perspective, and that perspective is less than 1% of modern day physicists.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Wow.
so all of them are in agreement. Yet
Mm.
99% of physicists in the world still believe in the concept of gravity.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so I sent Grant their responses. and with my comment, it says, "Look, Chris is in good hands,"
Exactly.
uh, because the people I'm dealing with are people that I've had,
And it
contact,
shows you, that the people that you're dealing with are actual pioneers in their field. So
Exactly.
they're true scientists, because
Yeah,
the true meaning of the word science is to explore new boundaries, to break new frontiers in the
yeah.
understanding of the manifested reality. So, I take my hat off to them and say fantastic for putting themselves out there and walking out, because it's where we are. I say to people, we're riding the crest of the wave here. We're breaking new frontiers in the understanding of life. And
And
we're
and
not only riding the crest of the wave, Ray, we're riding the longboard. And not only are we riding the longboard, we're hanging 10 off the off the longboard on the crest of the wave. Do you know what I mean? It's a very
that's
sparsely
exactly that's exactly how I feel.
it's a very
That's
sparsely
exactly how I
populated
feel
area. Yeah.
because I'm in the middle of all of this,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in the middle of this.
Yeah.
So imagine someone who has had no exposure to this, until a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
and actually the big revelation was just a year ago,
Yeah.
and so here we are. We haven't even talked about free. You know,
Yeah.
it's like all this other crazy stuff, and I haven't
Yeah.
even told you one third of all this other crazy stuff that's happening. I mean, there's telepathic communications that are taking place among this group.
Brilliant.
Uh, let me give you one example, just one, because
Mm,
we could go on. It's
mm,
just crazy. Um, uh, in about a month, we should have this unified theory, at least the unified theory with some of the equations associated.
mm,
What these professors are helping out is they're putting we're in the process of reformulating equations
mm,
because the current equations that are there are not good.
mm.
Okay, so we're coming up with new equations. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And this friend of mine, he's not a trained physicist. He's had 1 year of physics at the age of 14.
My goodness.
You know, and so what everyone else is doing, because they have been doing this for 40 something years, and Edgar's case for 65 years or more,
Yes.
70 years, and Rudy for 65 years in
Mm.
his case, dealing with this physics and math. And here's this one person, he's only had 1 year.
And is this Chris
So
you're referring to?
no, no, no,
Oh,
no, it's not Chris. No,
oh.
no,
It's Mr.
it's
X.
someone else. Mr. X, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because now
Yeah.
what Mr. X needs to do is to understand how to translate also energy into the spoken word, which is my greatest. I understand all these concepts in an energetic form. I'm just a guy off the street. I don't even have high school level physics
Yeah.
school. I've got none of that, right? But for me, it's engaging with reality, with life. Going into the subatomic with my awareness, with my consciousness, with my own essence. And so for me, I understand the construct energetically speaking, but how do I translate that into the
Okay.
spoken word so I can communicate with people, on this level of reality?
Yeah.
It's very, very challenging and difficult thing to do.
Well, this man, I think, he's the full package.
Wow.
He's the full package.
Wow.
Uh, Mary says so.
Mm,
Barbara says so. Marilyn says so.
mm,
These are like advanced intuitives, all of them,
mm,
with many, many years of contact experiences. And I mean, I can't speak for all of them, specifically, and not for Mary. She's
mm,
never conveyed that to me.
mm.
Uh, but all the other individuals that I've spoken with them that have had many, many years of advanced contact experiences, and highly intuitive individuals have all conveyed that information to me. That this
It's
person is
just
sort of
fantastic.
at the avatar level,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just a label
You know,
we're using at this point in time to
yeah,
try and
yeah,
explain his level of functionality, his
yeah,
modus operandi. My
yeah.
goodness, that sounds
And
just fantastic.
we're talking now about I would say at least 8 individuals at the level,
Mm,
of Mary Rodwell, Barbara Lamb,
mm,
um, that type of knowledge.
mm,
8 of them that have told me the same exact thing, that they've never met anyone like that. And
That's just
believe me,
fantastic.
they've met thousands of people,
Yeah, yeah.
and a lot of people, and a lot of people who say that they're coming with advanced knowledge.
Mm.
This guy truly is the full package. Like I said, the both sides of the brain,
Yeah,
uh, that side, and
amazing.
we're working together.
That's just
He
lovely
was
to hear.
I met with him yesterday, and he revealed a lot of information that he never revealed before.
Mm,
It's just each time he's coming out more in the open, more in the open.
mm.
And so anyway, that's a side project outside of. Oh,
Mind
oh,
you, a very, very important one at that.
yeah.
So
Let,
let's
let,
get on to
let,
free. Let's
well,
talk about free.
well, before we get into free, let me tell you telepathic communication. We're working on a very specific equation. Okay, uh, the basics of modern physics came from this British physicist, Maxfield, and they became known as Maxfield's equations. And those are like the standard equations that modern physics uses. So anyway, this friend of mine sent me an email. The email was then relayed Sunday to another friend of mine, Ralph Steiner. Again, another child prodigy. At the age of 8,
Yeah,
was doing advanced math. At the age of 14, had developed his own
amazing.
quantum hologram theory of physics. Okay,
My goodness.
at the age of 14.
Oh,
So the group that we're talking with, like, geniuses among geniuses. I already told you about Rudy. He's the one that told Stephen Hawking was wrong 25 years ago.
yeah,
So and Edgar Mitchell, you already know Edgar. You know his law.
yeah,
So
yeah.
here I am in the middle of this group, man. I participate in every call. I'm like the odd man out. I'm like, I'm the fly on the wall. Uh, but anyway, literally. But anyway, that same day that this person sent me that email, okay, when Ralph got home, he sent me an email, and it was all littered with four-letter words, right?
Yeah,
Like,
wow.
it was like, what happened was, he was driving to his mother's house. His mother's house was a 2.5 hour drive. An equation popped in his head, okay,
Mm,
visually and in his head, and exactly was that equation that my friend had put in his email. Okay,
mm,
he was asking Ralph would help regarding solving that equation,
mm.
and he was going to take this approach to solve it.
So they're
And he
they're they're
already
literally entering into a group mind.
into a group mind, and it was the same. I mean, please, of all the fucking millions of equations that exist in this world, know, it had to be this one particular equation, and they both came to the same solution to it.
Oh, brilliant.
And I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah,
You can't make this stuff up.
brilliant.
So, but back to free now. I don't even know if we ought to even talk about free.
Oh, we have to. Come on. We have to talk about free. It's such a wonderful project.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Free is going to be a catalyst for changing the consciousness of humanity. You know,
Now,
in
before
in
you
in,
get going
in
with free,
simplistic terms.
yeah, I'm feeling
Yeah.
big things for free, and I'll just give your voice box just a break because I know you've been at it for a while now. And
Okay.
what I want to say, Ray, is that I've noticed that you've already having a few problems in getting the website up and running. I want to say to you that I've had a similar experience where my websites and all my accounts were hijacked by a person who was pretending to be a how would you say, a volunteer that was
Hmm.
wanting to help in the best interests of my work and the people, the community, and took it upon himself, right, to
Sounds familiar?
block access to my websites and to my
Wow.
accounts because we had let him into the inner sanctum, right? And it was
Wow.
a really difficult process of dealing with this person, trying to reason with this person to give back access to our accounts
Same
because
thing
they took the
happened.
passwords and we gave them the passwords and gave them access to this account. And this person, it's a he, but I don't want to call him a man because a real man would not do such a thing. And he blocked us out and changed the passwords on us. And it was a really disconcerting time for me through the process of trying to establish myself. This happened a couple of years back, maybe even a bit more than that. It was about a couple of years ago. So I can relate to what you're going through. I believe there's been a similar situation happen with Free. So all I've got to say is if this kind of thing is happening, that you've had somebody that's under someone else's control, that they don't realize that they're even stooges themselves, that because no rational person would behave in such a sinister way.
Correct, correct. I
And
think they're being manipulated by some external force.
they are.
I know it. I know it. Yeah.
They are, because when you communicate with these people, you can feel that in them anyway,
Yeah.
Because I did at that time when I was trying to reason with that person. I wasn't just talking to that person, I was talking to that person's overlord as well.
Yeah.
So it was a very
But
difficult.
we're back on track.
Excellent.
We're
That's
back on
so
track.
good to hear. So I
You
just wanted to
you,
bring that up. I wanted to
you know
bring.
who jumped in?
No, tell me.
Mr. X jumped in to the
Is
rescue.
that right? Oh, fantastic.
Mr. X. I think that was why he was here yesterday.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
He gave us a donation, Mr. X.
mm,
And with that donation, we can restart the website again to continue with our website.
mm. Fantastic.
I mean, what a coincidence for him to be here, right? He just called me in the morning. I'm here.
Mm.
And it just so happened a few days after we went through this internal turmoil.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic
And
stuff.
no, we're back on track. We're back on track.
Excellent. So when do you
Um,
think you're going to be going live with the website?
I would say in about 2 months maximum,
Hmm.
because we have a contactee, a friend of ours, who we met about a week before this event transpired.
Yes.
And what had happened was that this website was just not being done. It was just a shell. And here we were, 4 days from um,
Launch.
when, yeah, from launch when all hell broke loose, and we didn't have a website. We didn't even have one article, and
Houston, we
and I
have
was
a
being,
problem.
yes, we have a problem. And so here was this contactee, just again popped out of the blue.
Yeah.
Um, I know WordPress, the software for doing this. I launched my own website. And it's like a support group for contactees. It was like a one-person show, and I
Mm.
saw it, and it was like, wow, this is very impressive. She was willing to dedicate 12 hours a day
Yes.
to get our website up and running. So the issue was that I approached this individual and I said, look, um, here's this individual who has extensive knowledge in this. She doesn't do it as a business, but knows it very well. She's willing to put in 12 hours a day, to get our website up and going. And at that point was when I was told that that website was basically his, and that he was not going to accept any third parties to destroy the website the way he had, we were working on. And um, so that was the problem right there,
Yeah.
and then at that point we didn't have a website because he controlled all the domain, the passwords, and
Mm.
everything.
Mm.
And I don't want to focus on the negativity. I don't
Sure.
want to continue talking about that.
Mm.
I just want to focus on the positive.
Mm.
And the positive is that Free is up and alive.
Mm.
We will have our website hopefully in a month, but the way we really want it, I would say in about 2 months.
All
And
right. Now,
then,
are you going to keep the same name, or are you going to have a different URL for it?
well, that's an issue because apparently this person had purchased all the contactee domain names.
Mm. So
And
the
so the thing
previous
is
the
that
previous domain name was. Can you share with
was
us what it was?
sure it was contactee.org.
Okay. So now people
And
know that the contactee.org is no longer associated with Free.
we correct. We have now a new domain name, Experiencer, And so we're going to be using experiencer.co.
Yes.
That's going to be the new domain name.
Yes.
And I also purchased experiencers.co. So
Okay.
those are going to be our two domain names. And we've already got this benefactor, which because we need to be able to buy various plugins, to buy the monthly rental, to put our website up. We want to have a community forum up. We want to have videos, whole works.
Yeah, I just felt it was really important, Ray, to let people know that, the original domain name, contactee.org. So if people see that and, and see any form of association with F.r.e.e., it's actually not the genuine article, that your new domain names will be the genuine article. And I thought that this
Correct.
is a very important statement to make, to
Yeah, correct.
inform
Because
the
we had
people.
we had publicized that name for like 6 months.
That's right.
So at this time, we're like in a sense starting from scratch again.
Mm.
And again, it was orchestrated, I believe.
Mm.
Um, that person just snapped, because that person had been very friendly to us, and all of a sudden, it's just a totally different person.
Exactly what happened with us.
Um,
Yep.
but yeah, yeah, and so we won't focus on that. We'll
No,
focus on the positive.
just shows me you're on the right path, you know.
Yeah, no,
Because
it's
if they see you as such a threat, Ray, if they see you as such a threat that they need to go to those lengths to take you out, that means, and what that does is it allows, through the process, allows the negative energies to be come out of the woodwork, have their go. Now you learn from that, you move on from that, and now you get onto the project proper. Because now you've
yeah.
gone to a new level of wisdom, new level of functionality, a new level of support has come in,
Yeah.
and really now you're off and running with a much
Uh,
stronger foundation.
all of our board members backed me up 100%.
Yeah, lovely.
It was like an emphatic, Ray,
Yeah.
we're on the right course.
Mm.
Um, this other individual wanted to bring in, some personal business of this individual to
Mm.
our website, and we cannot have that. We have to be, free and clear of any external forces.
Mm-hmm.
This is not about money. We're all
Mm.
doing this because each of us has a mission
Yeah.
that needs to be accomplished,
Mm.
and it's not about making money. And that was going to be the focus of this individual, because he wanted to push this thing called UFO coins, and
Whatever that is.
this is whatever that is. And so it's not going to be a marketing ploy, and that's it. We're moving forward. Everyone's remained very positive, and we're going to do what needs to be done. And so maybe I can talk now a little bit about what actually F.r.e.e. is.
Awesome. Let's get into it.
Yeah, basically F.r.e.e. has three different components.
Yes.
What F.r.e.e. is, it's a not-for-profit, is registered in the state of Florida as a not-for-profit. Um, we are in the process of applying to the U.S. IRS to become what is known as a 501c3 entity.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a non for profit that if someone gives you money, they could write it off on their taxes, like a
Okay.
tax donation.
Okay.
And that's very, you're scrutinized every year. You can get audited. So we can't have any types of, business relationships to appear
Mm-hmm.
like we're making money, for like a normal business.
Mm.
Now, we have, as I said earlier, on our advisory board, right now we have 18 individuals as a who's who um, um, in ufology and contact work. Many of these people are very, very well known. Edgar Mitchell, Dr. Rudy Shields, Mary Rodwell, Barbara Lamb. Um, we have Kathleen Martin from MUFON, who's a lead researcher
Mm.
on abduction. Denise Stoner, who's been doing abduction research for 20 years.
Mm.
Uh, we
Whitley
have
Strieber.
Whitley Strieber. We
Mm.
have Linda Moulton Howe. We have Cynthia Crawford, who's known for making ET sculptures.
Yes, I've
Uh,
interviewed Cynthia. She's been on Super Woo
she's
Radio.
wonderful,
She's a wonderful lady.
wonder,
Fantastic.
wonderful lady.
Mm.
She's one of the people I turn to. She was
Mm.
one that I turned to.
Very courageous
Yeah.
woman.
Oh,
Love her. Mm.
she's lovely lady, lovely lady. Marilyn Hughes, who founded the Out of Body Travel Foundation. We have this other physicist, Ralph Steiner, who I told you a little bit about, before him. He's an experiencer as well. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
This type of level of individuals. Dr. Joe Lewis, who was on the whole UFO circuit many, many years ago. Now he pretty much wants to stay away from ufology. He wants to do regression work to help people find their spiritual selves.
Is that right?
He wrote a book many years ago called The God Hypothesis, which is, to me, one of my favorite books in this field. You definitely have to read it. It's Dr. Joe Lewis, Lewells, Joe, and his book is The God Hypothesis. And we actually took one of the sections of his book because he explains the quantum hologram theory. He used to be a professor of journalism, so he explains that extremely difficult concept and how that relates to consciousness, okay, in a very simple term, okay, for like a journalist, like you're reading a newspaper.
Wow,
And
that's
and
great.
so one of the articles that we have, one of the lead articles about the quantum hologram theory, actually is from him. And
Wow.
Edgar approved it. I went up to Edgar's house. I physically showed it to him. I said, Edgar, you have to give it the blueprint. Rudy already okayed it. Okay.
Hmm.
So Edgar reviewed it right then and there. He says, it's good. It's good. So he gave
Excellent.
us the blessings,
Hmm.
and people of that level, of that nature, are on our board. Um, so here's what we have: three objectives. Okay, one objective is, I said earlier, we have Dr. John Klima, who's the world's leading academic on the paranormal. I would say he's in his mid 60s. He's been a professor for 40 years. Okay, he's written the most famous book on channeling. It's been translated to 18 languages. Okay, the title of the book is Channeling.
Hmm.
Okay, he's written books on, you name it. He's written articles and books on those topic areas. Again, from an academic perspective. So anyway, I had been doing email exchanges with him for several months, and so in December, when we formed Free, um, I went to Dr. John Klimo, and I said, John, being an ex-academic myself, I never got the PhD, but that was my mindset, for so long.
Yeah.
I did a literature review on the contactee phenomenon, the experiencer phenomenon. Okay, and what I came out was that there was almost nothing there. We know so little academically about this phenomenon. The few works were done by John Mack, but even then, his latest book, Passport to the Cosmos, before he passed away, I think it only had 44 individuals that it was based on.
Wow.
Okay, Dr. Kenneth Ring did a major study called the Omega Project, which compared individuals that had near-death experiences
Mm.
with individuals that had abduction experiences.
Mm.
And what he concluded was that we're talking about the outcome, the long-term outcome of the
Okay.
same person,
Okay. Yeah.
The person had like a total shamanic transformation,
Yes. Yes.
a total spiritual person emerged from both of these transactions.
Yes.
It's almost like they went through the same process,
Mm.
because the person was almost the same type of person.
Mm.
And then there was other books by Kenneth Bullard. Dr. Leo Sprinkle did many, many articles on the contactee phenomenon. And I think I mentioned earlier that Dr. Leo Sprinkle is also on our advisory board.
Yes.
And so I went to John and I said, John, I have uh, an offer you can't refuse. Okay. stress,
And you said that with
stress.
your New York accent, I'd imagine.
Hey, John, I got an offer you can't refuse. And so the Godfather was giving him a call, so, and what I proposed to him, I said, John, look, we need to do the first ever academic, long-term, rigorous peer review study of the contact phenomenon.
Wow.
And the way I'm defining contact is, I'm not defining it as purely abduction.
Yeah.
which is what mainstream ufology sees
Far,
contact.
yeah, no, it's far more deeper than
Far
that.
more,
Oh, the
far more.
variables involved because there's so many races that because of the way the UFO community, if you want to put it that
Yep,
way,
yep.
the field of ufology has been steered, totally controlled and intentfully steered into such a negative domain. Because I was involved in it, I was thick in it here in Australia, and in the years when I was being abducted quite severely. So what we're leaving out of the picture is the a lot more of the positive interactions that people are having and the interest that so many extraterrestrial races have in seeing us flourish, in seeing us actually achieve the intention of coming to this world and becoming human, what it actually means, what the deeper understanding of that and the relationship we're having with our planet, with our solar system, with the local community in our cosmic neighborhood, and what it means for the transformation of the human race and the ripple effect it's going to have that then emanates outwards throughout the universe because we are the newest thing that's going on in the universe. All attention is here because of our fractal nature.
Well, that was the message that I conveyed to John. I was like preaching to the converted.
Mm, mm.
Okay. He sort of said, Ray, I was born to do this.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like I'm the perfect person to do this.
yep.
And in reality, he really is. He's the top academic in the paranormal, has written about the contact experiences, so many different articles. Okay. He himself is an experiencer.
Mm, fantastic.
Okay. And so I approached him to be the chair of that
That's
committee.
important. That's really important because otherwise you've got people that are functioning from intellectual, conceptual ideas of things rather than I'm always talked about being the experiential person. I'm the experiential person. I'm not an academic person. Even though if I had an academic background, it no doubt would be contributing. But for someone to only be academic, but not to have the experiential side of it
Well,
is extremely challenging because they're still in the realms of
so
intellectually
limited, so
conceptualizing.
limited, so limited. Now, George, was that a coincidence that he was placed in my portfolio
It
here?
was just another coincidence.
Just another coincidence,
Just
right?
another one.
Here he happens to be the top academic on the paranormal, okay? Because almost no one goes into that area because it's a death knell for your career,
Yep,
okay?
yep.
Who just happens to be a lifetime
Time
experiencer,
experiencer. Oh, how good is that?
okay?
How good is
Okay,
that?
who then tells me, Ray, it's a lifelong dream for me to do this.
Mm,
And I said, John, you're going to be getting thousands and thousands
mm,
of experiencers
mm,
going to our website, filling out a questionnaire. He goes, what questionnaire? The questionnaire you and I and this team that we're assembling is going to be putting together.
mm, mm.
So then I told him my visions. I said, first of all, the contact experience is not just abduction, as you know.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
it's so much huge than that.
Hmm.
I said, secondly, we have to put our blinders on because even though you might have seen them as positive, even Dr. Sprinkle, Mary, Barbara might have seen them as positive, overall positive. Okay, we have to go into this as if we know nothing.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
we know nothing about this phenomenon.
Mm,
Okay, that's the approach that we need to take
hmm.
because we have to be totally objective about this. Secondly, the people that we're bringing in, and I mentioned some of the names. Okay, these are like the top people in the contact, research agenda. We're talking about the head of MUFON.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes.
has joined us. Okay, we're talking about Denise
That's a
Stoner.
big statement right
Big
there.
statement right there. Okay, Denise Stoner, both of them wrote the book about alien abduction phenomenon. The last 2 years have been probably the most sold document in quote unquote the ufology field. Okay, that book that they put out. They've been on over 150 radio stations publicizing, their work. Very well known. You've got Mary Rodwell. I mean, she's regressed what, like 2,500 people,
Yeah.
all contactees, experiencers.
More. Mm.
She's been giving lectures all over the world
Mm.
about this phenomenon. Barbara Lamb, she's been doing it for 40 years. She must have at least 5,000 people that she's, regressed and has had, has worked with over these years. Whitley Strieber, I mean, how many thousands of letters he's, read, tens of thousands of letters.
Yes.
Um, over the years. Dr. Leo Sprinkle, he's the true pioneer. He's the first person that started this.
Mm.
I mean, we can go on and on, you know. Ralph Steiner. Let me see who else is in our committee. We just added Dr. Lewis, Dr. Joe Lewis, as part of our committee. We also have several research assistants. One is getting her PhD in psychology. She wants to do a PhD on contactees. Okay, our database research assistant is 60 years old, an experiencer, has
Wow.
been working with database programming for over 35 years.
Huh.
Okay, that those are the support networks.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and then so I proposed to John that we do a series of questionnaires. First, we have an introductory questionnaire that would be quantitative in nature, yes or no type of stuff, basically to determine if you've been an experiencer, if you've had contact. Okay. Then we would develop a series of very extensive secondary questionnaires. Like for example, people that have gotten science and physics downloads.
Yes.
We would have a questionnaire just for those type of people.
Yes.
Okay. And then so we would ask numerous questions that would be both quantitative and qualitative, like open-ended questions.
Yes.
Okay. And then with the help of this database lady, she would be doing something called I always screw this up. S. Anyway, what it is that you type into a program specific word queries
Yes.
that you want to bring out in open-ended questions. So, for example, when the word spiritual transformation comes up, boom, that'll automatically be flagged as someone is typing in their responses
Yes.
to an open-ended question. So it can literally pull out quantitative information in a qualitative question methodology.
Right.
Okay,
I understand. Yes.
to make it even more useful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then again, it would be numerous modules. And we are just starting that phase now. We already finished the initial quantitative questionnaire, which is
Yes.
going on our website.
Yes.
And then
Have you
these
thought about
modules.
also holding like panel discussions as webinars?
Yes, that goes into a different component. It's not
Mm-hmm.
under the research.
Mm-hmm.
That's under the education component.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, the second phase is these secondary questionnaires. And we're going to be assigning a caseload. Like, for example, Mary Rodwell, she'll have like 3 or 4 cases.
Mm-hmm.
Again, very highly experienced individuals like yourself, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you'll be handled by like a Mary Rodwell type, or Dr. John Climo, or a Barbara Lamb,
Yes.
type. And then so each member of our committee is going to have their own caseload. Then
Yes.
we're also going to be bringing in volunteers, which are individuals that have not been, researchers for 30 years in this area, but
Yes.
people that are very, very, experiencers themselves, stable people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, have been there, done that. We can train them to do the interviews. Dr. Climo
Yes.
can train them
Yes.
academically. So they'll have their own caseload. Okay?
Yes.
So hopefully in a couple of years, we'll have, several hundred, if not, thousands of people that we'll have interviewed through this process.
Yes.
Now, the last phase is that we're going to be highlighting the most significant cases and actually doing book length studies on them.
Mm.
Okay, which, books can come out, which are highly, highly in-depth studies of certain individuals. Okay, and then other types of books that could come out could be thematic books,
Mm-hmm.
To talk about the findings of our books. But it's going to be in terms of different modules, not just one book will be coming out, but a series of different books, because this is going to be so complicated,
Yes.
what we're dealing with. So this is pretty much is the first attempt ever to study this comprehensively, academically, and it's going to be peer reviewed. That means other academics, other professor can
Yeah.
then scrutinize how we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Now that is the research agenda. Okay. We see this as being a continuous and ongoing project. Okay. If Freeze lasted for 10 years, it'll go on for 10 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other projects is the education project. The education project is two main components. One component is going to be the website. The other component is these roundtable discussions.
Yes.
Okay, let me talk about the website. Okay, the website, um, we're taking a different approach from so many other organizations that are out there that focus on the contactee. Okay, first of all, our focus is going to be grounded in science,
Mm-hmm.
hardcore physics and science.
Yes.
So that's going to be because all these things that we're talking about all the concepts that you were talking about, right?
Yes.
As we had a previous discussion a week or so ago, all those concepts have a grounding in quantum physics.
Mm. Yes,
Okay,
they do.
physics can describe or begin to describe these things
That's right.
because, and that's just recently.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, physics, if
um,
people, because people who are listening going, oh, some people have an aversion to true science and to science in general. But what we're discussing is, true science, the true meaning of the word. And when it comes to physics, I don't want people to get the idea what we're talking about is someone just working in a laboratory figuring stuff out. When we're discussing quantum physics on the level that we're discussing is the way our intentive process goes into the creation of a reality, the way we co-create and manifest a reality, and to, excuse me, actually explore the manifested form of a reality and to understand its machinations, its dynamics, its processes, its modus operandi, to understand the way intention flows, consciousness flows, and the interaction between all the different life forms within that given reality. So
well,
that's pretty much, just to, in layman's terms,
yeah,
for people, who are not academically minded, who are listening to this is where we're coming from when the term quantum mechanics and quantum physics is actually being used.
yeah. The way it was explained to me by all of these physicists. Okay, now several of them have been doing mystic travel.
Yes.
Ralph Steiner and Mr. X and Dr. Mitchell
Is that
over the
that's
last
all
30
right to be
something
shared,
years.
is it?
The well, I don't, the hell with it. Okay.
No, no.
Um,
Oh, well, you'll let me know afterwards anyway.
okay. Anyway, uh, all of these individuals are not just physicists in a laboratory.
Okay, we will pause it right there and take a quick break. Please stay with us as we will return shortly for more of this most intriguing and informative conversation. We are submersed in a construct that was designed to break us and keep us broken, but it hasn't. It failed. We still go on because we were designed from an eternal template of infinite creativity and not a synthetic house of cards built on pride and false power. Breaking free from the programs and paradigms that hold us down takes courage, endurance, tenacity, and trust. The reason it is so hard is because to be a free and sovereign being, we have to smash every lie, even if it hurts. It is good to be reminded of how resilient, unbreakable, magnificent, and powerful we truly are. And if anything provides a foundation for that, it is the book, Our Universal Journey. Go to ouruniversaljourney.com.au. The music for this episode is brought to you by Carl Madison. The album, On the Road to Tibet, and is available through Medwin Goodall Music at medwingoodall.net. Welcome back to the second hour of episode 31, here with Rey Hernandez. We will now pick up where we left off in this most excellent conversation.
The way it was explained to me by all of these physicists, okay? Now, several of them have been doing mystic travel.
Yes.
Ralph Steiner and Mr. X and Dr. Mitchell.
Is that
over the last
that's all right to be
years.
shared, is it?
The hell with it, okay?
No. Oh, well, you'll let me know afterwards anyway.
Okay. Anyway, all of these individuals are not just, physicists in a laboratory. These are individuals that have had exposure to multidimensional realities.
Fantastic.
Okay. And so that's where that's coming from.
So they're not coming again from intellectual concepts, conceptual ideas of things.
No. Even though they've battled Sir Hawkins, Sir Hawkins, and have knocked them out.
Yeah.
So we're talking at that level as well.
Yeah.
But basically, the way it's explained to me, easy way for the layperson to explain it is that we have the physics of the multidimensional reality,
Sure.
which can be explained the way you have been explaining it to your audiences for quite a while. Okay. And then there's the hardcore numbers, the real physics, the mathematics, the real physics, which explains our physical reality. And it could also begin to explain our multidimensional reality.
Yes.
Which only just recently we're able to do that. Okay. And the way you're able to do that is through this particular physics concepts called the quantum hologram theory. Okay. I won't go into that. You can look it up on the internet. And consciousness and what people are talking about, the 0 point energy streams, whatever, is a sort of like a subsidiary of that a quantum hologram theory.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what we are doing is I told these folks that I want to have two scientific areas, which for me are the most important topic areas. Okay. The first one is a topic area called the science and physics of ET contact. Okay. And that's primarily focused on the quantum hologram theory.
Wow.
We're going to have articles that explains it, like I said.
Because that will explain things like, let's say, for one of the experiences that I had when I was lying in bed, the ship turned up outside my house. I was living in a house with, made of sandstone walls that were 2 foot thick, and the walls just shimmered. And I had 3 greys on one side of my bed and 2 greys on the other, and they walked straight through the wall from outside. And they stood on either side of my bed and then transported me up to the craft. Let
me explain some about these articles.
So the quantum hologram theory. So I'm just getting to something.
Yeah.
So the just for the people who are the layperson trying to understand these concepts, that we're discussing here, is because the quantum hologram theory then helps to explain why and how they're able to do that. to create, because I used to say to people, what the ETs are doing is they're creating their reality. Like we go into the ocean, we want to take our reality with us. So we'll build a submarine and then we'll enter into that reality because we built the submarine reality. So we can take our safe environment with us, an environment that's safe to us, and enter into another reality. So we enter into the reality of an ocean with the reality that we constructed, and we call that a submarine. Now, what the ETs are doing is they're creating through the use of the hologram reality, they're taking their reality with them, and as they're walking along, they're manifesting it in front of them in time, just in front of them. And then what they do is they surround you with their reality and integrate you from your reality into their reality. And that's
correct.
yeah. So just for people to understand where we're coming from.
Let me give an illustration from early experiments in quantum physics for people to understand. Okay, they have experimented since the mid '80s something called teleportation.
Yes.
Where and before it was just a theory of teleportation. Now they're
known
actually
as the platform. The platform in conspiratorial speak.
Okay, I've never heard about that.
Yeah.
But what I was told was that you can get two photons, which are like electrons. You can get one of these photons, and you can sort of make a duplicate copy to appear instantaneously. They did it in the Canary Islands, very, very famous, 89 miles. All of a sudden, like Star Trek, beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah.
Okay. They actually did that with a photon.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Fantastic.
And now there are many universities all over the world that are doing that experiment. They're actually beaming up, not Scotty, but one of the basic components of one of those Star Trek people, which is a photon, because we're all made of electrons, and so that's called teleportation. Another one is called entanglement theory, where you get two photons, you unite them, and then you separate them. You put one here in front of your own table, and the other one you put on the moon. You're spinning the one right in front of you to the right. The one on the moon is spinning to the left at the same exact time. Now, instead of the moon, you could put it at the furthest star in our galaxy or in our universe. Okay. All right. And almost an infinite distance away. Okay. Again, you get the photon in front of you. Exactly. Spinning it to the right. That furthest star that you put it in, it's spinning to the left at the same exact time. What that tells you is that there's some type of invisible energy, an invisible string, which communicates with both of these two photons instantaneously in real time, the same exact time. And so that is a beginning for someone to understand how consciousness works.
Yes.
Consciousness is basically our whole universe filled with all these invisible strings all around us. That's why you're able to read someone's mind. You're able to predict the future. Okay. You're able to know the past. Okay. All the paranormal events, can take place for that. Okay. Can explain going through walls, because it's like a photon going through an atom, because a photon is even much, much smaller than an atom, and so all of this can be explained, things that used to appear as magic, as you're bewildered. Why did these, ETs go right through the wall, these grays? Well, there's actually hardcore physics that explains all of that.
Yes.
And that's where quantum physics comes into place. Yes. And I just gave you two examples, but there are literally thousands of crazy examples. Einstein called it spooky science because it's like the science of the spirits,
Yeah, he didn't understand it.
He later on he understood it better than the actual quantum physicists. He was actually a supreme quantum physicist, but in the beginning he didn't want to accept it, But anyway, so I wanted our website to focus on two different scientific components. One is the quantum hologram theory, and that explains our true multi-dimensional reality, the matrix.
Yes.
Okay, and all the interactions in between. It explains the ETs, how they interact with us, all these complexities that we're talking about. Okay, so in order for you to properly understand that from a scientific perspective, you have to understand the quantum hologram.
Yes.
So what we have is we have articles that are very, very simple for the layperson. We have intermediate articles. Now, Dr. Rudy Shields, he wrote an article called The Modern Miracles, which is an article that explains different paranormal phenomenon, like, for example, going through walls,
Yes.
and how quantum physics explains all of that.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
and that's going to be an article on our website. Then we have also advanced articles for advanced readers, the physicists, because we want to be able to attract those people as well.
Yes.
And then the other area of science is the topic of consciousness.
Yes.
Now, consciousness, as I said earlier, is actually a subset of the quantum hologram theory. Okay, but it needs to have its own independent, unique discussion of it because it's that important. Because all of our reality, in essence, is consciousness. Okay, who we are, what we're going, our interactions, or everything is fundamentally is consciousness.
Well, interesting that
And
you label that as consciousness. Yeah, because my understanding of consciousness is something different to that. Yeah, consciousness plays a role in the manifestation of a reality. For me, I use the label. It's interesting because it's semantics and the way people.
yeah, it's semantics. I'm referring it in terms of consciousness, in terms of the quantum hologram theory.
Okay, so I'm not aware that quantum physicists are attaching the word consciousness
yes.
to the actual be the building block.
Yes.
I know
it's
that
been
consciousness
used for many years.
It's like saying mind is the building block, is the fabric of everything. Mind, because that's what consciousness is mind, but on a cosmic level, right?
Yeah.
So
they also use the term non-local mind.
Okay.
You know,
okay,
where it's not our body; it's totally outside of our body. But they've used physicists have used that word for many years. Many physicists. Okay, specifically physicists that focused on quantum physics. Okay, it would come to a surprise to many folks, your audience members, that I could point out easily to 100 physicists historically that were before they got into quantum physics, that they were total atheists. And after they truly understood quantum physics,
and they realized the design.
They realized that there is a design, that there is God, and it's powered by consciousness. Okay, and so they have that term consciousness, and that's what I'm trying to educate to folks, to average folks, that the whole topic of metaphysics. Metaphysics can be explained, through modern day physics. That it's actually emerging. It's emerging.
Yes.
And it's being developed right now in its infinite stages. And then this unification theory is in a sense trying to tap into these higher levels of physics that people have never understood before. The multi-dimensional reality of upper level physics. So those are the two scientific components. Other aspects that we're going to have there is I wrote the lead article for this other topic area in terms of the different ways that people can have contact. For example, people always associate contact just with UFOs. Okay, mainly with abduction. Okay,
yes,
but no. There's many different types of quote unquote non-UFO types of contacts, okay, which a lot of people don't.
Well, I had one 3 weeks ago where I had that beautiful telepathic communication with a fantastic race of beings, which I do on a regular basis, not with just that group. I mean, that group's fairly new into my life, but there's throughout my life, I have had communication with my own galactic family, with other races, with races who are here to give me a hard time. who have ill intent, and their telepathic communications have been very strenuous, to say the least. So there's all sorts
Yeah.
of types of interactions that we're having
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
interdimensional beings and extraterrestrial races as well.
And could also point out people that have had contact through mystical meditation
Mm,
that have never had any physical type of being
mm,
appear to them. It
yeah.
was just through their physical meditation they've had interaction and contact with field beings. Near death experiences, okay? Those are contact with non-human intelligent beings,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Those are NDEs, okay?
Yes.
Out of body experiences,
Mm.
okay? So what I
I think
wanted
I
to
think the
convey.
challenging thing with NDEs is also the person's belief system and how much that plays a role in the actual NDE. Uh,
Well, from the hundreds of books that I've read,
yeah, yeah, because you'd be an expert
and
in that field.
yeah, and there is a consistency
Yes,
to the literature.
yes.
Okay, there is a certain consistency which was reflected in terms of the three people live people I interacted with 3 days in a row.
Mm,
Since then, I've met many other people that have had NDEs,
mm,
and it's a consistent pattern. There are outliers, obviously,
mm,
you know. But in terms of their cultural background, when they interact with God, some people say it's Jesus, some people say it's Muhammad,
mm.
some people say it's, according to their specific religious
Yeah,
beliefs.
their cultural programming. Yeah.
The cultural program, exactly. But in terms of the process, it's pretty much the same. So again, this article that I wrote about was that there are many different ways of having contact outside of the standard UFO phenomenon. Okay, and that what can explain all of that is the quantum hologram theory. Okay, that's like the bridge to all of that.
Mm,
And then we also have other articles in terms of the different types of ETs, what they look like. We have another section about individuals that talk about their different encounter experiences. Okay, so we want to have many different types of experiencers to write about their stories. The
yes,
whole diversity of their stories,
yes,
and we had a discussion about that. Um, and the other one is a transformation. I want to have a specific sub menu about transformational issues,
mm,
that people have had. Okay, I want to have another sub menu about the debates on the ET mission.
mm.
Are they gods? Are they devils? Is it something much more complex? So that section will be talking
Oh,
about
it can
mission.
get very complex, and I mean the cosmopolitical
Yeah,
campaigns. Yeah, but
yeah.
real. They are tangible political campaigns on a cosmic
Well,
level.
you're setting yourself up for an article here.
Right.
Or at least an audio file,
Oh,
that we talked about.
yeah,
But listen, George, what we're trying to do is to educate people on the complexities
yeah,
of this stuff,
yeah,
and not to have a specific mindset.
yeah.
We want to have the whole balance of diversities here.
Mm,
We've got people in our group, in our advisory board, that are like people like Dr. Mitchell,
mm,
PhD from MIT, straight laced, type of folks. Yet we also have a hybrid in our group.
mm. Yes,
People that consider themselves hybrids.
yes, yes.
So it's important because it's that complex.
Mm.
And you
Oh
want to have a
yeah,
diversity.
the interbreeding programs in the abduction scenarios. That is how big a subject is that one?
Exactly. That's going
Oh,
to be another topic area.
massive.
So our website is going to have that.
Mm,
Now, one of the things that we want to do is also like a roundtable type of discussion,
yeah,
not
beautiful.
not not like formal debates,
Mm,
but just you might have differences of opinion, that type of
mm.
stuff. And need be when we're talking about hybrids, we might get different perspectives in there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because
We
then
we, we might
you'd have different cultures expressing
yeah
themselves.
yeah. And so for example, one area is that I want to have a series of sessions
Yes.
on trauma,
Mm,
overcoming trauma,
yes.
because as you know, there's a lot of individuals who are still there dealing with trauma.
I'm still
A
dealing with
lot of
my post trauma from a lot of my
okay,
experiences. Yeah, I've
okay,
had ET races take me and torture me. I I honestly have had certain experiences have
okay.
been absolutely horrendous. Even the military
Well,
industrial complex has taken me and over the years, and are still trying to work on me now. And there's there's quite a battle going on between my
Hmm.
own inner fortitude and all the programs that are trying to be imposed upon me to try and limit. And they want to control me, so they want to make me their agent. That's what they do with anybody who's got anything to offer in this world. They're going to want to take you, and they want to turn you into their agent. And I don't think there's anybody in this world that hasn't been experiencing that, who's got stepping out and offering that, in their journey. So for me, the post trauma with all these sorts of interactions is a very real subject for many, many people. All the
Yeah.
experiences,
Yeah.
mine are quite severe. Let's say just the post trauma on a subconscious level to do with being taken from a vibrational field which you are born into, and then taken aboard a craft which has its own unique vibrational field of reality, and the trauma that it creates on your actual physical system down on the deeper levels. Because
Hmm.
people think that you can just go from here to another planet, for example. If I was to go to Mars, for example, you can't stay there for very long because the vibrational pattern, the vibrational field of Mars is different. The one on Earth, we give it a name, we call it the Schumann resonance, right? Well, the Mars resonance is different. And over time, what happens is the energetic fields of your organs start to break down. And then it slowly translates into the physical. So another reality will kill you over a period of time because of the background template vibrational fields, which are the setup of that reality. So it's
Hmm.
not so
Hmm.
straightforward traveling from one reality to another. So people who have had a lot of these interactive experiences and have been removed from this reality and taken into a craft of an extraterrestrial race, then their bodies have still got that trauma, that residual trauma deep down inside of having to deal with a different vibrational field relative to the one they're born into.
Hmm. Well, that's why I said there's going to be a series
Mm,
on trauma,
mm,
because you just illustrated one, small component.
mm.
Multiply that by 10 different other,
Oh, sure,
areas.
sure.
For example, in my case, okay, I have never seen an ET outside of that light being.
Mm.
I've never had any interactions with them except that one download.
And the craft.
Um, yeah, and see, but that wasn't trauma. That was, take
Uh,
out the beer and
yeah.
that popcorn and, let's chill out. And but yet I have my own trauma, as you know, that I've gone through
Yes.
because of all of these not even synchronicities is the word.
Mm.
It's just I'm being controlled. Um, of course, I have my own free will. I know about that. But things are being dropped on my lap all over the place. I'm
Mm.
coordinating free. I'm coordinating this physics project. I'm
Mm.
all these people I'm interacting with, and it's just when you've only had 1 year of exposure to this, it can be traumatic.
Incredibly intense for you, Ray.
Yeah, yeah.
Unbelievable.
And so there's a lot of different levels of trauma. So that's
Yeah.
just one example.
Mm.
Another roundtable would be dealing with the physics stuff. Instead of
Mm.
reading about it, you could have some of these heavyweights being able to explain consciousness, like have 3 different sessions on consciousness,
Yes. Yes.
subfields.
Yes.
So they'll be explaining consciousness from this mixing of the science with the old metaphysical. How
Yes.
consciousness can begin to explain the multidimensional reality we live in. Um, and again, I put out a document for our advisory committee, which had maybe like 30 different topic areas. And again, these topic areas could then be sliced and diced, into very specific components. So, the goal is for us to be able to videotape in high definition these small sessions of 3 or 4, you know, experts together with experiencers.
Yes.
Okay, a mixture of both. To
Yes.
be able to flush these things out, to be able to put them on YouTube and available on our website.
Yes.
So if you hit the area of trauma, whatever, you'll get 10 videos on trauma,
Yes.
which explains 10 different components of trauma. Okay,
Mm.
so that's pretty much the education component of our website, which is quite extensive. We've been
Yeah.
talking about it for quite a while now.
Yeah.
And the other component And again, if there's any individuals that have articles that they want to contribute to Free, they're free to do it. Other things that we want to have on site, which are quite unique. One area I'm calling it like out of the closet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is there's a lot of individuals who have hardly no one to talk to. Some individuals who hardly anyone knows that they're an experiencer. What we want to have is the ability for you to do like a 5-minute video of
Yes.
yourself and your experience. Hi, my name is Rey Hernandez. I'm an experiencer. I also happen to be an estate tax attorney with the IRS for 15 years. Okay. I think it's extremely important for individuals to come out of the closet, because I know there are literally millions of people all over the world with similar experiences. As a matter of fact, a neighbor 2 doors down is also an experiencer, together with her father and 2 of her children. And she has told me that to my face. Okay.
Yes.
So if the neighbor 2 doors down has had all of these experiences, and all of these other people coming through the woodworks telling me about the experiences, and that they hardly ever talk to anybody about it, I think it's important for you to come out.
Yeah.
We're going to start like the gay movement for the experiencer.
Coming out of the closet for the experiences.
Exactly. We're coming out of the closet, because what happens? A lot of folks push this thing. Oh, the my lab's going to get you. The my lab's going to get you. Push this fear, of you not coming out.
Yeah.
They can't be doing my labs to a million of us. Okay. Please, and the more people realize that this is a true phenomenon, the more the whole consciousness of humanity is going to be wakened up, that we are actual people that are obviously,
Hang on a sec. Just stop talking for a moment, because it's playing up again. To stop. Okay.
Yeah. That we actually are advanced spirits ourselves.
We are.
And that we're slowly transitioning to another form of reality, another form of consciousness. And by going public, coming out of the closet, what you're actually doing is you're aiding in that movement, that momentum. So I always tell folks, look, the ETs got it, the people here got it wrong. It was not actually 2012, it's 2014. 2014 is when the beginning of this consciousness awakening movement is starting. And I truly believe that Free is going to have a major let me see. Role. We're also going to have a major role. Yeah. We're also going to have a forum, a community forum for experiencers. Okay. To interact with each other. So if you can't interact with your friend, with your neighbor, you're at least going to have a couple of hundred of
community.
Other experiences.
So you're creating a community for people to be able to
interact with.
Brilliant.
And to feel very comfortable to talk with each other, to interact with each other, and to respect each other, because, the Greys, they're evil. Oh, the Greys are robots, or the reptilian, they're nothing but rapists, or this and that, So just to respect, the diversity of each other's opinion, because just by talking to you, and talking to others that I've spoken with, just in terms of the reptilians, some people see all reptilians are evil or bad, Other people are saying that it's just like every other race that's out there.
That's right.
That it comes in all colors, all hues. So as long as we all try to respect the diversities of opinion, because again, it's everybody. Even yourself, George, okay?
Yep.
We all think we might know the answers, okay? But in reality, no one knows, the quote-unquote answer. We have to go at it as a sign of respecting each other's opinion. And what your experience has been. You, like, for example, to me, I've had positive experiences. I don't know what a negative experience is. So I can't talk about that. But I've heard it from other people that there are negative experiences that are out there.
Oh, they sure are.
So as long as we can, have a website where there's respect for all of that, then we can begin to grow as a community, which we are. We're an extensive community. Then the last component is this area of support. which we began to talk about either. That's sort of like the third leg of what F.r.e.e. is about, which is have a place where people can get support. Okay, and the way you do that is through the community forum. Okay, and the way you do that is through these videos and education and learning and coming out of the closet.
Yes.
And then if people are really really traumatized, then we can make an reach out to some. We can email them and then call them, sort of like a buddy, like an experiencer buddy. Because that what happened to me in the beginning. For a long time I just want someone to talk to, because who in the hell can you talk to? You can't talk to your family. You can't talk to your friends. Who can you talk to? So we're also going to have an opportunity to have buddies, contact buddies, experiencer buddies, and together with the forum, with the sessions, we're going to also have a list of therapists, certified mental health therapists that have worked with experiencers before, that are recommended. We're not going to recommend it free. We're just going to put a list out there. It's up to you to make the phone calls. People that do regressions. Okay, a list of recommended regression therapists as well.
Yes.
Also a list of psychologists.
Wow, amazing! That's a huge community that you're creating there of support.
Yeah. We have on our team. We have 3 PhD psychologists, and we have 4 individuals that are certified mental health psychologists.
Wow.
Okay, so it's and again, that has to be posted. We're not going to recommend anybody, but that goes back to support. And then we're making outreach with a couple of organizations. One of them is Starborn Support. To see how we can work together, because our philosophy as well is that I always tell everybody, we cannot no longer have little feats. These little anthills don't communicate with each other. Okay, we need to start working in collaboration with them. Okay, for example, these group sessions.
Hang on a sec. Just stop talking for another 5 seconds. Just let it catch up. Okay, you were saying?
Yeah, these roundtable sessions, okay, these educational seminars, okay, we might just give it to Starborn Support as well to put it on their website.
Yes.
So whoever goes to their site will have access to that.
Yeah, and I'm involved in another community as well called Rise Multiversity. So we are a group. One of them is Eve Lorgan, who's involved in anomalous trauma, and she's been studying this for decades as well with the alien abductees. She's written several books on the subject, and there's several other people. Tom Montauk's researching it, and we're coming from various fields, different groups of people that are coming from various directions, but we're really discussing, similar topics to what F.r.e.e. is. So we're another community that's already been created, and so we could down the track start an affiliation program as well, which would be wonderful.
Most definitely. We need to share resources. We need to talk to each other. We have to link up and cross collaborate, cross fertilize each other, because the importance is to reach out to as many people.
Yes.
That this phenomenon exists. We're educating you to this phenomenon, and we're here to support you, and to spread the word,
Yes.
And
fantastic.
so basically, in a nutshell, that is what F.r.e.e. is all about. It's a way to free your mind in terms of what truth is. It's a way to liberate you, to be who you truly are. It's a way to liberate, to free you, to see the science behind what's going on. That is not any longer coined in the verbiage of metaphysics. But what Dr. Mitchell told me one of the first times I met him, I think it was the very first time, he says, "Ray, do you realize that all the ancient sages, okay, all the metaphysicians that we talk about, all the people in the Bible and all these old texts, ancient texts, okay, these were all mystic travelers." He told me.
Yes, they were.
Okay, they were all mystic travels who had interactions with higher beings. Okay,
Yes.
they could not express the knowledge that they received in terms of modern mathematics, okay, modern physics. So that's how physics came about. Okay, what it actually is real hard science that was relayed to them about what our true reality is, but people were not able to explain it in terms of modern science and modern math.
Well,
Okay,
what they did back then was they explained it in relation to the mindset of the human race back then, which was
yeah,
very different to what it is now. And the
yeah,
scientists, back then you could have had people that fully understood the concepts, but they just didn't
yeah,
explain them in the way we would explain them today. And that's a mistake a lot of scientists make, thinking they didn't know back then, but actually they did.
yeah.
They just knew it in a different way.
Well, what I was getting at was that they weren't able to reformulate that in terms of math and science
Hmm.
because math and science had not been developed to that point then.
No, but that's the point I'm trying to make. Math and
Yeah,
science is a language or a set of labels we attach to a real life situation. Back then, there were other tools that were used to do that. So people,
correct. No,
we
yeah,
did. If I go back into my lives that I had in the past, I did understand the concepts back then, but I understood them using a different labeling system and in a different way. So people make a mistake to look back through time and think that the peoples back then did not know. No, they did know, but they knew it in a different way than what we know it today. People
yeah.
don't
Well,
understand that the numbering.
just to clarify, I didn't say that they didn't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't say that they didn't know.
yeah, and
But what it was that um, the coinage
mm,
of what people knew back then,
mm,
coining it in math and in the physics of today,
yeah,
people were not able to do that.
no,
Okay, so
because
it wasn't developed. Yeah,
it
exactly.
wasn't in their language back then. They used
It
different
wasn't in the
systems.
language.
They used different
Exactly.
systems to coin it. Yeah.
But now we're in the infancy
Yes.
where people are not all physicists, not even the majority of physicists, okay, where a very small sliver of physicists
Mm,
are starting
mm,
to coin the language behind the unveiling of that reality.
mm-hmm,
Okay,
mm.
so the general layman, you don't have to be a mystic traveler to experience that,
Or to begin to
because
understand the concepts
you
of
have
it.
to begin to
Yeah,
understand the concepts of it.
yeah, yeah.
That if you you would have to get trained in advanced physics. It's
Yeah.
still an extremely difficult phenomenon.
Yeah.
But at least if one has that inclination and that
Yes.
mind to accept it,
Yes.
I'd rather do mystic traveling myself instead of
Yes.
having to take all these advanced physics.
Uh,
But the point is that now it's you getting a meshing, for the first
yes.
time,
Yes.
you know and what actually is going to lead it, the technology is going to be bringing us to that next elevation. And I think personally what's happening is that the hybridization is, again, this is, I have no knowledge for this. Okay, that's just my own, what's coming out of my head. Okay, that
Yes.
there's been many different types of hybridization over since we were first developed.
Yes, there
Okay,
has.
and that's what's taking place now, is a continued hybridization, but a hybridization that will allow us to tap into the consciousness
Whoa, hang on a minute.
time
Hang on, because
with due
you
time.
totally went silent there. I'm gonna have to get you to repeat after the hybridization over a long period of time because you were speaking, there was nothing coming through for whatever reason.
Okay,
So say it
okay.
again. That we can tap into what?
Which means we need to refocus it to get the message straight. This is again, this is not based on any facts. This is just what's coming out of my head.
Mm,
Okay, and that is that the hybridization that's taking place. It's been the recent one, at least. It's beginning to allow humans to be able to tap into the 0 point consciousness field. So
right.
we'll be able to have telepathic communications
Hmm.
with each other.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and that with each hybrid strain that's being introduced into humanity, that will raise that ability, you know, certain percent, let's say 0.5% every 10 years, eventually we're going to be getting at a point where we're going to be full telepathic beings. Okay. And that together with the new energy technology that's coming out of the modern physics, okay, you will have the new energy technology, you will have the full telepathic technologies. When you blend that both, then you'll be getting at the level of the basic rudimentary, I guess, for lack of a better word, third dimensional ETs, the ones that are physical, ETs instead of the more high energy ETs that have the advanced energy devices and that have the telepathic abilities.
Yes.
So that's the direction that we're heading. That's beyond a shadow of a doubt. And that's being done through a selective introduction of hybridization into humanity. And again, that's not based upon any information that I have. That's just something that's in my head.
It's your understanding. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just in your head. I mean, we're talking about emanation of your spirit and your soul here. Yeah. So this is coming from your being as well.
Yeah, yeah. And to me, that's why I always realize that consciousness, the topic of consciousness on the website, is the number one topic area. Okay, because that's where we need to go to. Okay, we need to go into understanding
from the earthly mind to the cosmic mind.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We need to fully understand that from the science perspective of it. And then knowing that from the science perspective that this is a doable reality, the hybridization, what it is sort of like it's a little booster shots, being introduced into humanity where that reality is.
Yeah, I actually see it the other way around. The hybrid programs is for them to boost their races. It's the other way around.
I think it's both. I think it's both.
It's because we're fractals. We're fractals of
mutually
the universe.
Beneficial. I think it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah, I understand that.
We're benefiting them. They're benefiting us. Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. They think it's like a one-way street.
That's why I'd love to get into a conversation with someone in regards to the subject of the hybrid programs because of the intricate nature of the understanding I have in that field, and I do understand it very deeply.
With Mary, you would enjoy her because she's done tons of research on star kids, which have talked about the hybridization aspect of it, that we're being introduced with new DNA patterns, with new hybrid skills.
Yes.
So she would, I think, definitely agree with me 100%. And that's someone to have that discussion with, Mary.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. I'd love that. I'd dearly love that.
Yeah,
be great to get Mary on too for an interview if that's possible down the track.
Yeah, it's going down 2014.
The question I didn't ask. There's so many questions I wanted to ask. Here's one for you. How do you see? Because I know it's late for you and you want to get going, but this is a very important question. Okay, how do you see the advancement of the knowledge of life and physics, and then this issue of transhumanism? Because there's a very high level of concern about the transhumanist movement. For me, I feel it's heading in the wrong direction. Well, I know it is because I understand the ET races that are behind it and their agenda to assimilate the human race into their techno reality.
Well, I can't speak about that myself because I have no knowledge about it. Okay. And again, I am not like so many other experiencers that have had, those types of interactions and experiences. And
it's a big subject, Ray. You can't leave that out. You can't leave that out of F.r.e.e. It's too big.
Yeah. We're open to any type of information that people have, stories, that sort of thing. And we want to have diversities of stories. But in terms of my own personal opinion, I really don't have that. We've never really touched upon it, the members in F.r.e.e. In terms of my future of where we're heading as a species, whatever term you want to use it, I already told you there's going. I think we're slowly being introduced DNA necessary to be able to transition uh, in terms of telepathy, okay, to become much more telepathic, okay. And then what's going to assist us as well is the new technology. So the increasing telepathy of us as a species, together with the new merging technology, okay, is going to be bringing
Yeah, but
us.
what I'm talking about is the integration of technology into the human species. Cyborg is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, uh, I am not an advocate of that.
Mm, mm.
um, I am not an advocate of that. I think that's going to be a very fundamental debate in the future
Oh, but it
because,
is now.
to,
I've got
yeah,
people who are involved in, I know people who are involved in business who are going to the meetings behind the scenes, who are, of groups of very wealthy entrepreneurs and business people. They're more business people than entrepreneurs, even though my friend is more of an entrepreneur. He's more holistic in his approach in life. You've got this very big issue of this massive technological rollout, which is aimed at steering the human race
well,
into this transhumanistic movement. It's a very
you,
real concern.
I had that discussion yesterday with my friend. That same exact discussion.
Ah,
Okay,
yeah.
same exact. Because you know why I asked him? I asked him. I said, "Are the Greys? There's all these reports that they're like robotic."
There's some that
So
are.
I asked him a question. Do the Greys have souls?
Some do. Some species do.
Okay, all right. So we got to the point where he said that some do. Okay,
Mm,
but he also said that a good many of them, okay, are these robotic types
yes.
that they can be 100% gray flesh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, but they've all been pre-programmed,
Mm-hmm.
okay. But the essence is, do they have a consciousness? Then we started talking about consciousness, which is
Collective hive
basically,
minds.
well, what we talked about is that what you have is that you have a spirit that's independent of the body.
Mm-hmm.
So the gray might be operating as this robot,
Mm-hmm.
but there's not going to be an independent mind that's independent of the body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's another way of looking at spirit or soul,
Mm-hmm.
of defining this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a very interesting, deep, complex conversation about that. Okay,
Brilliant.
that eventually we'll be at this point where the definition of what is a human or not is going to be this whole issue of the spirit and the soul,
Mm-hmm.
because you could create someone that's totally 100% body
Mm-hmm. I've already experienced
operate,
them in this world. They're
and
walking around.
yeah, and you won't even know that they don't have a spirit, they don't have a
Mm-hmm.
soul,
Mm. You
they're
can
just
only tell
body.
by their emanation, the energy that they emanate, the
Okay,
frequency they give off. That's how you can tell.
okay,
Because
and
inside of you is your soul essence. It's the core essence of who and what you are. So for me, soul is the part of me that's one with the creator. Okay. So spirit is a projection from soul. Consciousness is a projection from soul. Soul is home. Soul is the nuclei. Another way of putting it. It's the core. So when you recede back into yourself and you get used to recommunicating with your own being on a soul level, then that level of communication that you have with the universe around you, which is what I do and what I recommend everybody to do, that enables you to see all the layers above that, all the layers from that. So when you have a being that comes into your presence that has an emanation of a frequency that's here and not at the foundational levels down to the soul, then you understand what frequency band from the universe, what paradigm, what race, everything. You learn everything about it because you're going into the underneath the foundational building blocks of that being's existence.
mhm,
See? So deep down into your core, into your soul, that's where it's at. You go in there. Kingdom of heaven is within. It's that simple. And know thyself is another aspect to that. It's that simple. You go into there, that's the part that connects you to everything. That's beyond mind and that's beyond consciousness. That's why I'm such a space cadet, because that's where I function.
Yeah, I guess it's a lot of similar. It's just the terminologies that are used,
Yeah.
but the concepts are the same,
Yeah.
you know. But we did have that profound discussion yesterday, you know, in
Brilliant.
terms of you could have a full life human being
Mm.
acting totally 100% like a human being, you wouldn't know the difference. But that person does not have uh, a consciousness or a spirit or soul, whatever you might want to call it.
Some of them are
That's
called politicians.
most definitely, man. A majority of them. I don't even watch TV anymore. It's all
No,
bullshit.
it isn't. Isn't it?
The,
I
the,
can't.
the, the news. I just watch the news for a half hour just to see that we haven't blown ourselves up. And that's pretty much what I. And before I was always into the news.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
now it's like news is irrelevant.
It's just a show.
But again, that those are fundamental questions of where we're heading at. I mean, are we heading towards, modeling the grays?
I
Where
think
there's
there
going to
needs to
be
be a philosophical branch to free, and these are the sort of topics that will need to be discussed coming in. Yeah, you got to go.
yeah.
You're done.
I'm tired. I'm tired. But definitely we need your input in those areas
Mm,
and others that
mm,
that might write articles or do you're more comfortable with tape with audio that we discussed about,
mm,
but contributing to free in these different types of ways so people can realize there's an enormous complexity of discussions that are out there, you
mm.
know.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Well, Ray, it feels like we've had a marathon discussion here. You know when they say time flies when you're having fun.
I have
You
no idea what time
yeah.
it is.
Well,
All
you
I
and
know
I
is
have
that
been at it for nearly 4 hours.
wow, wow,
Isn't that amazing?
that is amazing. Wow, there's a lot of editing there to do too, but
Uh,
it's
wow.
unbelievable.
Oh, Ray, we have had a most magnificent discussion. I
Yeah,
really,
most.
well, it's been dialogue, it's been a discussion, it's been a conversation. We've had all three in all their flavors. It's just magnificent. I really appreciate from my heart the work that you're doing and what you're helping to bring to the table in your life, what you bring to other people's lives. You are making this world a better place, and I really appreciate that. I feel the quality of the integrity in you as a man, and that speaks volumes to me. And I felt it through your email, the first message that you sent me. I want to appreciate how much, share my appreciation that for you getting in contact with me initially, and I'm absolutely flabbergasted at the professionalism of Free and this is a very serious community that you're building, and it already is, and it will make much more of a difference in this world. So thank you.
No, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk to your listeners about it, for sharing the love and compassion that I have for this work. I just want to let all of your audience members know that I know I'm being guided through this process. I have no no conversations, no external stimulus that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
It's just that things are being dropped in front of me, um, and I'm just riding the wave, as you said. I'm at the whatever the number 10 wave, the highest wave it could be, or something like that. I'm just writing it out, man. And there, I know that there are instruments out there that do not want us to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're not going to succeed. We're going to succeed. Uh, what we need to do with free is fundamentally important, because what we're doing is we're part of the whole consciousness raising of humanity, and we already had that conversation about how important consciousness raising is. To me, it's not just a quote unquote term that you hear in the metaphysical community.
Mm.
To me, it's a
It has a
real.
different meaning to you. It has a different,
It's a different
yeah,
meaning to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Because
because that's being
I
thought.
warn people about that that in the so-called New Age religion.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
pursuit of consciousness in that religion is mind enlightenment, and that's all it
yeah.
is. And people are being herded into collective hive minds, which is a very
Mhm.
dangerous thing, and they don't understand the actual relationship that we're having with this universe, the world around us, let alone the whole universe. So you're more interested in the relationship we have as beings with the universe rather than the
Exactly.
ideology of mind
Yeah.
enlightenment.
It, Consciousness is going to lead us directly to have communication with God. Okay.
Yeah, I don't call it
As
that.
as
I
as
don't call it those three
as
letters, as you know.
I I call it that. You know why? So people can try to understand it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
You know, because that there's no term for that. Okay.
yeah.
But as we develop
Well,
this,
universal
what I'm
creator is a good one.
universal creator, as we develop as a being,
Yeah,
as a what was a human being,
yeah,
right? Whatever it develops to, um, it's going to be consciousness that's going to allow us to tap into all knowledge. Okay,
hmm,
but unfiltered. Now it's filtered to the max,
yeah,
and that creates all the problems of understanding. But with time, okay, and time doesn't exist,
mhm,
which I'm going to send you a couple of emails about that.
yeah.
Um, Also, I was also told by a lot of my friends it's easier to go back in time than to go forward in time.
Oh, of course it is.
Okay,
Yeah, there's far more stricter regulations in going forward in time of the
yeah.
effect of the momentum of a reality. Going in the past is a lot easier. There's not as many
Well,
tight regulations or parameters.
the explanation that I got was not, you know, your terminology.
Mm,
Okay,
mm,
the explanation I got was a physics explanation.
mm. Well, the two
A
go hand in
hard
hand.
that, that point about earlier
Mm,
before,
mm, mm,
that now physics is catching up.
mm,
Physics is catching up. That they're able to explain these things through physics.
mm,
But there was a whole conversation that our physics group had.
mm.
Uh, Physics wise, how it's easy to go back in time. But you already knew that, right?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
see, that's my whole point.
Yeah,
Physics is now catching up,
yeah. Oh, brilliant. I
and
mean,
but that's where we're heading in terms of consciousness. For me personally, it's the utilization of the science and math and the knowledge base that we have, and how we need to understand all of that, because with the new technology that we're going to be getting, that's
yes.
going to allow us to then go into this next phase of matrix awakening, you know, so we can then interact with all of these other beings that are out there. We're like infants into this stage.
Mm, yes and no. I don't mean to have a hardline approach, but I have to have an uncompromising approach when it comes to the understanding of the human race and who we
Mhm.
are and why it was created. So I'm really big on defending the integrity of the human race. So that's why I seem to have a hard edge to me, and I'm a bit stubborn when it comes to certain statements, but it's for a reason. And I'm sure if we had time longer, further to discuss and to understand why I do what I do, I'm sure you'll understand why it is I do it, because there's quite a cosmopolitical campaign, I'll get back to that, to diminish the human race, to portray us as though we are childlike in the cosmos and that we need mentoring, which is a hidden agenda for custodianship. So this is much deeper to understand the cosmopolitical
Okay.
agenda, that we are something far more in magnitude, and quantum physics will prove that through the discovery of our fractal nature. Remember the discussion we had that every atom in your body is a stargate. When you can understand when every nuclei of every atom in your body is a stargate. When that is understood and the fractal nature is understood, then our own individual ability to access zero point energy is understood. My goodness, what does that open up? Really? And so there's far more going on here than
Well,
people realize.
that's for a continued discussion for another day. Then,
Oh, it is.
as they say in the Wizard of Oz, that's a horse of a different color.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, it's been a beautiful, heartfelt conversation. And thank you again, Ray. And F.r.e.e. is going to be big. I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my beingness. F.r.e.e. is going to be something really big. You guys are on the precipice of something monumental here. So Ray, is there any more information you can share with our wonderful listeners, where they can go in the coming future to access F.r.e.e. on the internet? Can you reiterate those websites? Because we know it's not live yet, it's not up yet, and we don't know whether it's going to be one or the other or both. But if you share them again, at least they can look for it down the track within a few weeks.
Okay. Well, it's easy to recognize the term experiencer because that's a very common name in this field. I'm an experiencer. I'm a contactee. Some people have been abducted. They'll say I'm an abductee. We don't like to use that word, abductee. Experiencer is more of a neutral term. So the website is going to be experiencer.co. Not com, not com, but experiencer.co. And in 2 months, we should be up and running.
Excellent. And this is being recorded on the 20th of June. And so by the time I get this edited and get it out, it might be another few days away yet. So it'll be, even closer to them than from the time this was recorded. So wonderful news, because it's very exciting.
Okay, thank you so much, George, and we'll be in communication and contact fairly soon, and I promise you a couple articles.
Oh, mate, that's awesome, and keep shining your brilliant and beautiful light in this world. It is so greatly needed. Thank you, Ray. Truly appreciate it.
All right, take care, George. Thank you so much.